Good afternoon, this is Cigar from Ministers of War, and we're going to be showing you our 10-man Trials of the Crusader strategy for the Beasts fight. There are 3 separate phases to this fight in which you'll have 3 different beast encounters, which are one after the other, so you do need to be very careful with your healers on their mana, as they're not going to have a chance to regen their mana through this entire fight. The fight length is about probably you can get it down to around 8 or 9 minutes. Ours this time is about 14, as we were still learning it this day. This is actually the first downing of this boss. And for phase 1, we found it's best to have fire resist if you can't have them up. It helps. It's not crucial, but it does help, because the boss does throw snowballs around that also add fire damage with these little fireballs they throw on the ground. And when players stand them, it'll kill them, which you'll be seeing here actually pretty shortly. The main thing to watch out for is Gormak does an impale ability on the tanks, and it will stack. And after about 3 stacks, you're going to want the tanks to switch. If the tanks do not switch, it's going to continue to build until the healers will be unable to catch up with them. If you have paladins in the group, they'll be able to use Hands of Protection on the tanks to clear off this debuff.
Instead of just 2.
Now, as always, with pretty much all raid fights, the #1 rule of raiding does apply here, which is don't stand in shit. You can see fire all around here, and if you stand in it, you're going to die. So players need to be aware of that.
Now remember, Red Dog needs
The only thing that we encountered that was a little tricky on this was sometimes the tanks were not able to get their taunts off. It seems like it gets resisted more than most other bosses, so that's just one thing to be aware of. Other than that, our DPS are all focusing on killing the snowballs whenever they're out, because there's only a limited number of them. I believe there's only about 4 or 5 of them at most, and after they're down you can just focus on the boss.
I am about to get
throughout the fight, he's also going to be doing a staggering stomp, which you just saw there. And if anybody is casting spells, when he does that, it's going to do a spell lock on you. So just be careful of that. And if you have the latest version of Deadly Boss mods, it will give you a clear warning.
Red Dog.
I got him.
Okay, pick him up.
We got another one. Ready, Jack?
On me again. Pick up Red Dog.
They love you, Repo.
Alright, I'm just standing here.
Because I'm the best one here.
I used Hand of Salvation.
Another good thing which we did not do during this fight is you have the ability to disarm Gormak in this fight to prevent him from doing the impale altogether. So if you have multiple classes that can disarm, it's best to have them rotate through. We did not do that on this try, but we're going to be definitely implementing it in next week's raid.
Stop healing for a second, I'll heal.
Alright. Hymn of Hope.
Alright, I'm picking him up.
I got 3.
And it's not letting me pick him up. There we go.
You got him.
And you can see at this point there's no more snowballs left for us to deal with, so everybody is just completely focused on DPSing the boss. And without the snowballs, there's no need to worry about interrupts, because if they're on someone's back, they will interrupt the casters and prevent them from casting their heals or damage spells.
I'm clear on debuff, so let me know when you're ready.
Alright, pick him up. And he's down.
Jump.
Alright, now that phase 2 has started, we're going to be facing 2 Drummonger snakes. One is Acid Maw, one is Dread Scale. These 2 snakes we're going to be tanking simultaneously. We're not going to be using 2 tanks, only 1 here. We found that it makes this fight extremely easy when you do so.
DPS.
One thing to be careful of doing it this way is to make sure the melee is not standing in the poison cloud. So once again, the #1 rule of raiding applies.
Alright, I'm gonna kind of back down from the hills for a bit.
Now, each of these Drumongers are going to be applying their own debuff to different people through direct attack and also through a random AoE spray. Anybody standing next to other people will get it. As you can see right now, there's a couple people that are green that are running towards the tanks to remove their debuff, and there's one standing next to me that actually did not, and he's going to be frozen here in a moment from the paralytic poison.
Dude, I'm paralyzed.
Acid Maw is the one that's going to be casting the paralytic poison on other people, and the Dread Scale is the one that's going to be putting Burning Bile. These 2 effects cancel each other out, so if you simply stand next to somebody with the opposing effect, it cancels it out fairly easily. Another reason why a single tank makes this easy is because he's going to be always applied by at least one of these, and so we can always just move forward just a little bit to
no one's
clear it
going
out.
to be able to get the
During this phase, it's
The
very useful
burning
to have
bile.
nature and fire resists up, as that's going to help reduce the amount of damage that you're taking from the different
because he
debuffs that are going
Dread
on during this fight.
Bang thing or whatever doesn't use burning bile in this one.
I got it. Me and roll.
It does help to stay as spread out as you can on this fight, that way you don't catch the AoE spray on a whole bunch of people and keep it focused on a small amount. So if you can, try to keep your raid spread out more than we're currently spread out.
Alright.
Did it go off you when I touched it?
Yep. It went off me.
Okay, good.
Well, it's taking damage.
Fuck.
Alright. Acid is down.
One's down.
Now that Acid Maw is down, Dreadscale is going to increase his amount of damage to the tank, which is still fairly easy to heal through.
Yeah, you
Once
guys-
one of these is down, we begin
as long
tanking
as
him in a
nobody gets
circular
hit in the
fashion to
face
keep
during-
these little
We can
poison
actually-
clouds
we
from
can
stacking
still
and
do this.
melee standing and
I got my Urshield on direct.
Battle res isn't an option. Alright.
This is actually a long fight. We may be able to get that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This might actually be the first time anyone's actually hit the enrage timer, maybe. Actually, I don't think so.
Jack, you're the one that can do frost resist, that's it.
Okay. I didn't either. DBM doesn't say anything.
Do you think it's a health thing where his health gets low enough and he enrages?
No, it's definitely a berserker enrage.
Alright, so it is a time-based thing.
Yep. It's 1000% extra damage.
Yeah, nobody's surviving that. Alright, it's time to play.
Throwing up frost.
And now that we got the two Jormungers down, we're going to be
Got
facing
2
a
minutes.
Ice Maw here. He's the
Alright,
easiest of the
I'm
three
in the middle of the room.
beast groups that you're going to be facing during this entire encounter here. He's only got several abilities that are really even harmful to really watch for. He's going to do a random attack that's going to knock everybody back a little bit. He's going to do a headbutt. And he's going to do a Frost Breath. The Frost Breath is going to freeze anybody in place in front of him.
Just
This
let
kind
it
of
like a
random
minute,
rave
we'll hit
wide
both our mana
effect
cards.
that you see going
Yeah.
off right there.
Yeah.
These frozen players
There's
aren't able to
seconds,
do any
seconds,
abilities
seconds,
removed. Mages are able to blink out of this though. However, if you do have a frost resist aura or of any kind up, this is very easy to heal through. The only part that's really even somewhat tricky to even deal with on this fight is he's going to jump in the middle and stomp and send everybody to the outside
And
walls
it's heads
like
up
that.
once we get out of
He's
here.
going to target
Alright,
one person in
it
the raid
is-
group, which is me in
Yeah.
this case. And when you get free from control, you get a speed buff, and he's going to charge at you. If he hits you, you die, and he also gets short and
Got
rage.
15
If he
seconds.
misses you, he
Man's
runs
go
into the
down.
wall like he just did, and he stuns himself, where he
Using
takes a little
him
extra
as well.
damage, builds no threat during this
It
time
was the first
period.
time I'd seen that. I didn't know what I was doing.
I know. You just
What?
missed you, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I saw him coming. I was like,
Someone
oh
heal Jack?
fuck.
From there, it's pretty much just rinse and repeat on this boss. He's
Don't
very
worry, when
easy
he's
to,
doing that
to
breath,
down, does not deal a whole lot of damage.
He's not
you do
attacking.
want to keep your raid fairly
Sorry.
spread out, one thing we are not currently doing
Not a
here. But definitely something
Want me
we're
to
going to be
say
doing
more,
next
Mo?
week is spreading out a little bit more.
Yeah, I didn't mean it.
Never.